Spotlight is a production of CTNY, the Catholic Television Network of Youngstown. It seeks to spotlight people, places, and events from around the Diocese of Youngstown that promote the new gospel of joy called for by Pope Francis. Your program host is Father James Corda.
Hello and welcome to Spotlight. I'm Father Jim Corda. Today we're going to talk about the Bella Women's Center in Holland, and joining me in today's discussion is Tia Ciferno. Tia, it's a pleasure to have you back on Spotlight. You know, I get so confused because there's so many different shows we do, and you've been on so many, and it's such a pleasure to have you back.
It's great to be back today.
And we're so happy that you brought Lena Batina with you today. Lena is the director of the Kharkov Pregnancy Assistance Center in the Ukraine. And thank you so much for your presence on our show today, Lena. We look forward to hearing about the wonderful work that you do in the Ukraine, which is kind of a mirror image of the Bella Women's Center in Holland. And we'll learn more about that and learn more about the center in Holland. Why don't we give the folks that are with us a little history and background in case they forgot what exactly the center is all about and how it started.
Yeah, it's an almost 25-year-old ministry that started as New Life Maternity Home in Warren, Ohio, well, in Vienna. And as the needs changed for women in unplanned pregnancy, that they didn't need housing as much anymore, they realized that they could reach more women in being a medical clinic that intervened with really necessary tests before a woman made that final choice on what to do with an unplanned pregnancy. So our center's now been open at 5 years as Bella Women's Center, intervening with women who are searching for answers to what to do next. They're in a crisis. They need love, they need accurate medical tests, they need to find out if their pregnancy is viable, they need to date it. Check for STD infections. So we have nurses and sonographers, very professional and beautiful, and they come and we get to serve them. And hearts are transformed, and many women realize they are empowered to make a choice for life. Since 7 out of 10 abortions are because those women were coerced, it wasn't really a free choice. We're there to help her find her voice and her heart in the whole matter.
Let's ask Lena to tell us about the beginnings of her pregnancy assistance program in Ukraine. How did it get started? What's a little background and history of it?
We started 15 years ago, and it started from coming here in America and see one of the centers. Basically, the reason why I'm started because I have my story of abortion when I was at 19, a student in university, and I didn't have any information about abortion, how it's performed, and the development of the baby. I grew up in former Soviet Union, no religious background, and but I remember this moment when I was decided I'm going to do abortion. Deep inside I knew there is a life. Even I didn't have information, my mind was telling me like different information, but my heart deep inside knew. So I was crying, walking in this 1.5 million city and feeling so alone and nobody to turn. And I knew if I would say to my girlfriends in university, everybody would talk about it. So my parents lived far away, and I knew their attitude toward abortion. So basically, it was it. I was saying goodbye to my baby. And then there was a missionary in Kharkov. She came from England, and she did this workshop and seminar for post-abortive women. And I went there, and God did major healing. And when He did the healing, I wanted this love that I met, inside. It was transformation for me. So I wanted other women would be experiencing love before they would get into abortion. So and for me coming to state and see one of the center was really something that I was looking forward to see how to put in place.
Well, what's wonderful about it is that you are doing this out of your own experience, your own personal experience and conviction, and you use that word transformation.
Yeah.
And how important is it, when women come to whether the center in the Ukraine or the center in Warren or centers around the globe, that they come hopefully to be transformed and to understand that there's a life within them. And I think we've talked about that many times, that oftentimes it's not important, but to understand that life in you is important, and how you want to continue to maintain that and bring that to term as well.
And we hear often that a woman won't value that life within her till she values herself. And so at our centers, when we show her Christ and show who she really is and her value despite her circumstances, which are swirling, as you said, you were so alone, nobody validated what her heart was saying. So when we're able to then love on a woman and help her know her value, and she's so loved, and she feels that, and they're able to step into a very frightening situation of a new child in maybe circumstances that aren't perfect, but she knows she's not alone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Now, how has it changed with obviously the fall of the Soviet Union and more freedom in your country? How has that helped you continue to do the work that you are doing now?
I would say for Ukraine, after the Soviet Union was broken, it didn't make better, demographically.
Sure.
The Ukraine is decreasing population, 250,000 less every year.
Wow.
Yeah, so in comparing with Western Europe, only 3% would choose abortion, 3% of women. In Ukraine, it's 20, what they say.
20%.
20%,
Wow.
yeah. So in Kharkov, we're the only center and 32 abortion clinics. And the main abortion provider is government clinics and budget money there. So it's because it's for generation. It's like not the first generation that people, they don't think much when they go to abortion, and the same doctors who would help to give birth would be the same doctor who would perform abortions.
Wow.
So it's really hard in the hearts of the people.
I understand.
So that's during the fertility time, a woman had like 7 abortions. When we do post-abortion recovery groups for 9 women, it's about 66 abortions. Sure. So it's a big trauma. It's affect all society. It affect families, and I personally see even it's affect the way mother parenting. And drug abuse or alcohol abuse is coming from the family where mother was broken because of abortion, and a relationship was struck because of abortion between husband and wife.
Wow.
Yeah. We're going to talk more about those specifics, but we're going to take a quick break, and we have a special video to show during the break. Please set that up.
Yes, it's a video of a woman who was an hour south of us, had no center like this to help her in a crisis pregnancy, had 2 children already, her husband had lost his job. So you'll hear from Sarah how she found Bella and traveled to us.
Enjoy. We'll be right back.
The biggest fear for me when I found out I was pregnant was my husband and I just purchased a 2-bedroom house for our family. We have 2 young boys already at home, and when he lost his job in April, we lost our health insurance, and a huge part of our income was gone, and I was just honestly just scared to death. And there was no way I was going to be able to afford the doctor visits and the birthing and being able to give a baby everything that they need. There was just so many emotions running through me, and abortion was the first thing. It seemed like the only solution. So I found Bella Women's Center, and I saw that it was up here in Warren, and I'm in East Liverpool, so it's kind of a far drive, so I just let it go and decided I wasn't going to call I was going to try to find something closer. And there was just so many signs that pointed towards us that I needed to be here. One is which I was at Walmart with my kids, And we were shopping, and there was this little girl in front of us in the line, and her mom just kept saying, "Bella, come here, Bella." And honestly, the reason why I called is I thought that this was, a clinic for abortions, and that's why I called. I mean, I think I was just in a blur. Honestly, it felt like I was just scared and heartbroken because of the thought of me, having to terminate a pregnancy that, so many women would do anything in the world to be able to have, and I have it, and I was gonna terminate it. And there was just, I don't even know if I was even thinking.
Welcome back to our show. I'm talking with Tia and Lena, and perhaps we could talk also about some of the statistics, because there are good things that happen in both of the centers, and there are people that are transformed and lives that are saved. And let's talk about that, and I guess I would put it under the umbrella of hope, because there is hope there for those who come to the centers, because I would imagine in their hearts they're not feeling hopeful at all.
That's a good point. Good way
so
to put it.
Tell us a story of hope from both of your centers.
Okay, why don't you tell the one you told me in the car?
Oh, we have a woman who came, she was looking for a late-term abortion. And so our counselor talked with her, and we're not medical, we don't have ultrasound at our center. We hope to have one.
We want to help them with that.
Yeah. And so we had a doctor that we trust, that we could refer to. So I basically took her in the car and brought her to this doctor. So I was the second person talked to her about my experience and how it could affect her life. Sure. She already had 2 children, and she was thinking it's enough for her family. And the doctor wasn't at the office. We were late. And so I said, you have to sleep over with these thoughts, new thoughts. And the next day I checked with the doctor, and she visited the doctor, and she changed her mind. And months later, I received this letter of notes with thank you. We have a baby boy, and we rejoice about it. And we were thinking maybe it would be joy for you too.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. They should have named the baby after you, I wish. And I think it's those stories that give people hope, but also it gives you affirmation that what you're doing is important.
Yeah, it's important to God. We want what matters to Him to matter to us.
Tell us a story of hope from Bella.
We have, even just today, 10 patients on the schedule, and they find us on Google because they're in this swirling circumstance, and they search for us, and we market that way. We spend a lot of money to appear first when she does that search. So many of these women have found us that way, and they just find out that these medical tests are really important before she goes somewhere else. So they're finding us because we're near her. We have to be close. And so part of what Bella has found and is now multiplying into other communities and helping other centers start, we realize we really need to be close. As you saw in the video that we saw, she had to drive an hour. I brought one of the quotes from one of our patients. Just as the transformation happened, she came in just thinking abortion was her only option, and she left this exit interview. She said, "Coming here gave me the chance to really think about my options. Thank you for giving me every little detail of every option that I have. I have decided to keep my baby, and I really don't know if I would have if it wasn't for your warm, welcoming staff. Thank you so much for everything." So Love met her at the door. Actually, Love met her on the phone when she called. So we're story after story, week by week. We have three adoption decisions just this year, which is phenomenal. So women are presented with all the options, and some women are deciding adoption is their best choice. So lots of stories.
That is, oftentimes when women come to the centers, they feel they don't have a lot of options.
Right.
They feel their only option is an abortion.
Yes.
And so you provide opportunities for looking at other things that they could do as an alternative.
Yes.
And I think the advice that Lena gave the woman to sleep on it overnight was really a stroke of wisdom, because how often we tend as humans to make decisions rather rashly and quickly without thinking things through.
I heard a director just say that from Toledo. One of our sister centers said, you wouldn't rush into marriage. You wouldn't rush into abortion. It's a life-changing, forever decision. So in the same way, we're letting these women know that they have time. That word in the Bible in Psalms, Selah, pause and think about that. And when they have time, they realize they're not alone. There are other options. One quote someone said was, a woman wants an abortion like an animal wants to chew its leg out of a trap. That's how they really don't want this.
Sure.
So if someone comes and walks alongside them and they're not alone, they realize that they can do it. And then they're so grateful that they found us.
And I believe some of them, they have these thoughts that, that God is speaking to them with this small, quiet voice, but they cannot recognize it. So they like this thought would push away because they don't see any options. Like in my situation, I had these thoughts about telling my mom, asking for forgiveness for messing up. But I've never had perception of mercy in my family. It wasn't like asking for forgiveness and receiving it, But if somebody would stay by, and if I would say this, and they would tell me, God is merciful. You can rely on His mercy, And later on, when I told my mom about abortion, she said to me, "Why didn't you tell me?" Yeah, but I was thinking because, when I was young, I heard something she was saying, and I based my decision on that.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. And how important is it for us to have that listening ear? Because oftentimes in this loud, boisterous world that we live in, we don't give ourselves time to be quiet and silent, to listen to those voices. And as you said, God tends to whisper instead of shout at us. And if we would just listen to those whispers and turn to others to get God's voice. Because God's voice comes in many different ways and through many different people as well.
Yes.
And I think that's what your centers do. You provide really God's voice for people, for women. And let's talk also about some of the people that come with them, because I would imagine sometimes they don't come by themselves. We're going to take a quick break and get into talking about those people and how your centers help them as well.
Excellent.
But we're going to show a quick video, and we want you to set that up briefly.
Yeah, you're going to see the rest of the story with Sarah, what happened when she did find us. And interesting enough, you brought that up also about something that you brought up earlier really does attach itself to this video, so I'm excited about that. The listeners and viewers will be able to see the rest of the story.
Good. And we'll be right back.
That's where I got the first sonogram picture, and we heard the heartbeat, and right then and there I knew there was no way I could do it. We couldn't after I saw her. Her hand waving and like, "Hi, I'm right here, what are you doing?" was just the most amazing thing. I'm just so thankful that I did do the research and did realize that there is help. And I honestly can't thank God enough for finding this place. And when I came to the Bella Center, I got this book called Expecting. I found myself lost in this book, emotionally and spiritually. What I had read one night to my husband, Zach, was week 11 when I left the Bella Women's Center, when we were just trying to get everything processed and, get our emotions calmed down. This week was titled Confidence. Being confident of this, that He who began a good work in you will carry it on until completion, until the day of Christ Jesus. I just can't believe how close to home this is with me, and what we were feeling at the time, and the decision that we made, and being able to read that, just it's just amazing to me. Almost every day I think about the thought of not having her, and if I would have terminated this pregnancy, just with how complete she makes our family feel and how much happiness is surrounded with us with having her. I just couldn't imagine her not being here. Our family is so complete now.
Welcome back to our show. I'm talking with Tia Ciferno from the Bella Women's Center in Warren, and also Lena Batina, who is from the Kharkov Pregnancy Assistance Center in the Ukraine. Before we get into some more discussion on specifics about your centers, we want to also share with the folks that are with us how Bella has really grown into other communities in our area. So please share that good news with us.
Well, what we found is that people really want things to be close. I did a study on Dunkin' Donuts, and there were like 16 of them within 20 miles. And I realized that that's why people will go there, because it's first. Right. It's right there. So we found that to be that help, very present help in time of need, as Scripture says, and be right there when that woman needs us is so important. So other communities have seen Bella's success in ministering to these women and having women land on life. 490 have made a choice for life in 5 years. That's 490 babies and women that don't go through the trauma of abortion. So we have found centers in other areas coming to us. We let them shadow. We've helped fund and helped a center open as medical in Mercer County, Willow Women's Center, one in Salem, Ohio called Sophia. We're helping one start that is just transforming into medical in East Liverpool. Ava Women's Center this year will start, and we're going to have a satellite of our own in Ashtabula County called Maya Women's Center. So love multiplies, and our partnership with Ukraine. So all the way across the ocean, God is doing this because He wants to defend women and their children.
I was going to say one way that your center can help Lena Center is I know you have wonderful medical assistants. You have opportunities for a sonogram there, and maybe sharing down the road that opportunity for their center to grow.
That's what we're praying.
Would be helpful. That would be wonderful. Let's talk about the people that come with the women to your centers. Sometimes they come alone, but sometimes they bring people with them. Who are those people?
You have them come with
you
we
do. We have different kind of, I would say. Some that push them to abortion, and some that really looking at the help. Like we had a couple who came, and the woman wanted abortion. They were not married, so she didn't really trust. All other guys wasn't nice to her. So she couldn't trust really, But the guy, when he saw the sign, Charity Foundation, Kharkov Pregnancy Assistance Center, he had a hope, like, maybe this is the place where they could help to change her mind. So when I talked with her, and she told me that she has been praying and for God to help her with the abortion, but she came to us, and I said, God answered your prayer differently, And the guy was so happy that, we really help him, to change her mind. So they kept the baby.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great. And I'm sure you have similar
We do.
good
We
stories.
do. We know that about half of our patients will come in with someone, mom and dad or boyfriend or even husband, as you'll see from the video you saw that she was married. And they are struggling too. This is huge for them. So someone needs to love on them and educate them. So while they're in the waiting room and the woman comes to the back for privacy in the beginning of the appointment, we have a family advocate who's highly trained to be able to go sit with them, give them a cup of coffee, talk with them about what abortion, adoption, and parenting all look like, what the resources are, and empower them. So like Lena said, Some are coming wanting her to choose life, and she doesn't. Others are hoping we don't talk her out of something. So we don't judge, we don't push or coerce at all. We educate, but because we're ministering on both sides, like you said, it's such a good question. You're getting them both on the same page. So they may go out to the car, and he says, "Did you know there's 30 waiting sets of parents waiting for every adoptable baby in Ohio?" So we're educating them both. Which is so important.
And I think that's really crucial to the work that you do. It's one of education, but it's also one of ministry.
It is.
You minister to people. You're really kind of instruments of God, God's presence, God's love, God's gift of life, and how important that is. And we're down to the last few minutes of our time together. And usually when I do a show that's so wonderful, time tends to fly. And so it's almost hard to think that we're at the end of our show together. But we want to make sure that there's more information that you have that you want to make sure people that are watching have. So I'm going to go to you, Lena. Is there anything in particular you want to make sure that you share with us about your center, about you, before we close our show today?
I would say that we all together in the same battle. And what I discovered, even with the war that we have in Ukraine, when there was the same kind of situation in Georgia, the former Soviet Union, I didn't pay much attention at that because it's like, it's not bothering me. But then when it's happened to us, I realized how we all together, we depend on your victory, and the same, it's like we're in the same world, we're in the same boat. Yes. So it's important to understand this. And with us, we have a big challenge because of the war with refugees. We had in our center 1,078 pregnant women in crisis that lost everything coming to us. And they're the part that very vulnerable for abortion, So we was very busy in this time, and we're very thankful that we have partners, with the centers that understand the battle, and helping us.
Sure. Yeah. Give us the website. How can they contact you if they're interested?
Yes, if it's a woman in need or you know of someone that has a need in a crisis pregnancy, it's BellaWomenCenter.com. If it's related to donating or finding more about us, it's BellaTeam.com. Our number's all over online, but it's mostly directed to the woman who is looking for services. So that's how they can be in touch with us.
To you, Ciferno, Lena Batina, thank you so much for your ministry, for your helping those women listen to God's voice.
Something to celebrate.
Thank you.
Yes.
And thank you for being with us. Have a good day, and God be with you.
Spotlight has been a production of CTNY, the Catholic Television Network of Youngstown. Your program host was Father James Corda.
$33 million Americans have descended into poverty. And as their futures fall, so does our nation's.